Hello and welcome to yet another video. This is the 14th episode of the story, in which Naruto sets out to discover his true reason for being Hokage. Look out, Ninja World! A new Naruto Uzumaki has arrived. Please like and subscribe to show your support. Let's get the show started. Naruto and Ino entered the Hokage's office, the Chunin wearing a look of confusion when seeing Tsunade sitting behind the desk with the third standing next to her. The elder had his hands behind his back and a pipe on his mouth, seemingly relaxed. For a moment he thought that whatever they were going to tell him wasn't too serious, but, throwing a quick glance at his girlfriend's urgent look, he knew that it wasn't the case. Seeing the confusion on the young ninja's face, Tsunade cleared her throat. "I'm glad you came, Naruto," she began, her gaze firm. "I don't have time for formalities, but I need you for an urgent mission." "What's going on?" he couldn't help but ask with a bit of worry. "A few hours ago, Sasuke Uchiha left the Leaf Village," the medic announced. A look of pure shock passed through the Chunin's face. "Your mission is to get him back as soon as possible. I will let you form your own team of available ninja. However, since a large number of Jonin are out on missions, we can't afford to send one at this time. Know that one will be on the way as soon as possible." Ino watched as her boyfriend's face turned cold and calculating, the kind of face he would make when on a mission. It amazed her just how fast he could adapt to such situations, but assumed that it came with the training he had gone through. Considering her own training, spending time with a Sannin changed a person. "We'll be leaving now," Naruto declared, turning to Ino and giving her a firm nod. "Before you go," the third spoke up for the first time. The young couple gave the man their attention. "Know that I trust you'll accomplish your mission, Naruto. Be very careful, Sasuke is not alone." Naruto nodded as he and Ino left the room, running through the hallways of the building as fast as possible. Tsunade turned to her old teacher with a frown on her face. "Do you think it was a good idea to send him?" The third let out a sigh as he turned his gaze to the window overlooking the village. "We can't spare any Jonin at this time, but I believe that Naruto is capable of accomplishing this mission," he admitted, turning to his student one more time. "He'll be all right." Naruto ran over options as he and Ino made their way through the village. This was a retrieval mission, which meant that they couldn't waste much time. Sasuke was getting further and further away with each minute that passed. He kept a scowl on his face as he thought of candidates for the job. Ino was a given. Even if he didn't want her to go, he knew that she would end up going regardless. Not that it was a bad thing, since she was a lot stronger than before. She had not only received training from Kurenai, a genjutsu master, but the legendary Tsunade. On top of that, she already knew his strengths and weaknesses, which would make the mission a lot easier. He next thought of Choji. The ninja was currently in the village and was, in his own opinion, the strongest when it came to raw strength. He was also one of the ninja he was familiar with and one of the few whom he trusted Ino with, just in case he got hurt and couldn't protect her. Niji would also be a good choice. The two had worked and fought together before, and he knew for a fact that his taijutsu was the best out of all of them. His Byakugan would also prove useful when pursuing the Uchiha. Naruto also thought of getting Shino to come along. He was great at long-range fighting and was one of the most intelligent ninja from their year. Having him with them would make thinking of plans a lot easier, and his ability to absorb chakra would help in restraining Sasuke. Lastly, he knew that Lee was a must on this mission. Not only did he carry a lot of strength, but he was also very quick and agile. Having Lee and Choji on the same team would help just in case anyone intervened on their pursuit. Naruto nodded to himself as he turned to Ino, the two now standing on the roof of an old building. "Ino," he began, his tone serious, "I want you to find Choji and Lee. Once you've done that, go to the gate. I'll be waiting there with the rest of the team." "Got it," Ino replied, watching as Naruto kicked off the roof and ran off in another direction. Not wasting any more time, the Kunoichi made her way to Choji's home as fast as possible, knowing full well that time was not on their side. It was daybreak as Naruto and his team stood on the village's gate. Finding all of the genin had been a little harder than he thought. The Hyuga compound was like a maze. How was he supposed to know where their training grounds were? The blonde shook off those thoughts. He needed to be serious now. He glanced at his team, Ino, Choji, Niji, Shino, and Lee standing before him with determined expressions. They had had a quick briefing of what was going on. Niji and Shino didn't seem to care about the Uchiha being gone, while Choji and Lee showed a bit of worry. "All right, guys," Naruto began with an air of seriousness, "this is how it'll go. We'll be forming in a simple line. Niji, you'll be in front. Choji and Lee will be on the back while Ino and I take the center. This way, Niji will be able to tell if there's danger ahead while Lee and Choji take care of any upcoming enemies. I'll have a few clones trail behind us to cover our backside. Any questions?" The group of young shinobi shook their heads. Lee's eyes burning with determination as he threw a fist in the air. "Let's get Sasuke back at once." Naruto smirked. "Then let's get going." Naruto, a sudden yell interrupted. The group turned to see a distressed Sakura running towards them. "Sakura?" Ino let out in disbelief. "What are you going here?" The pink-haired Kunoichi stopped in front of Naruto, her frame trembling. "Naruto," she began, tears threatening to fall, "please, get Sasuke back." Ino watched Sakura with a frown on her face. Just what was she thinking? Of course he would get him back. It was his job. "Please, Naruto," she continued, tears sliding down her cheeks, "promise that you'll get him back." Naruto let out a sigh, running a hand through his hair. "I can't promise anything, Sakura," he deadpanned, Sakura's eyes widening in disbelief. "Me and Sasuke aren't on the best terms right now." He turned on his heel, his gaze on the road ahead, "but know that my mission is to bring Sasuke back and I intend to do so." He turned to his teammate and threw her a smile. "Don't worry about it. The bastard will be back here in no time." With that, the group of ninja ran out of the village, leaving behind a sobbing Sakura. Like always, she needed to trust in others. She was tired of it. Kakashi had yet to find anyone to train her. She felt useless. For now she could only hope that Naruto could bring Sasuke back. The Sound 4, plus Kimimaro, leapt through trees, Jirobo carrying a kind of barrel with many seals. Sunlight peeked through the trees as they made their way back to Orochimaru. One of the members suddenly stopped, his head perking up slightly. "Someone triggered our seal," Kadamaru suddenly informed, a smirk on his face. The mission had gone without a hitch so far. They hadn't run into many enemies, but he had been looking forward to a good fight. The ninja they had killed on their way out of the village didn't count since he had been aided by his team, meaning that he didn't get to enjoy their deaths. This time, though, he would make sure to enjoy the fight. Kimimaro kept a calm look on his face as he turned to Jirobo. "Give me Lord Orochimaru's new body," he instructed his underling. Jirobo did as instructed, not wanting to get on his bad side. "You'll stay behind to stall for time. If any of them get past you, I will kill you." Kimimaro turned to the rest. "Let's go." With that he left the area, the rest of the team following after him. Niji frowned as he picked a chakra signature straight ahead. He stopped on his tracks, the team behind him doing the same. "What's the matter?" Naruto asked with a frown. "There's someone up ahead," the Hyuga stated, narrowing his gaze on the chakra signature. "It's just standing there, unmoving. It's as if they're expecting us." Naruto nodded absently, already formulating a plan on his head. It was obvious that they would stall for time, something that they couldn't let happen. They would need to leave someone behind to fight. As much as he hated it, he knew it was the only way. "All right," the blonde muttered, looking at Ino, Choji, Lee, and Shino. "One of us needs to stay behind to fight. I'm team leader and Niji's still needed, so it's going to be one of you guys." "I'll do it," Choji spoke up, a tone of finality on his voice. He smiled an embarrassed smile as he looked at his team leader. "I'm not that good in tracking, so it's the least I could do." "Thanks, Choji." Naruto smiled as he turned back to Niji. "Let's get going." The five-leaf ninja jumped into the clearing ahead, coming face to face with a smirking Jirobo. Naruto instantly remembered the ninja from the invasion. The sound ninja had been nearly impossible to hurt back then. "None of you trash is getting past here," Jirobo spat as he bent his knees slightly, ready to attack at any moment. Choji stepped up with a serious expression on his face. "Get going, guys," he muttered to his team. "I'll take care of him." "Be careful, Choji," Ino said in worry. Her teammate nodded with a determined look on his face, apparently ready for anything. "Let's get going, guys. We don't have any time to lose," Naruto spoke as he moved past Jirobo, his team instantly following behind him. Jirobo snarled as he jumped in front of Naruto. "You're not going anywhere," he roared before feeling something wrap around his leg. Before he could see what it was, he was slammed on the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Choji retracted his giant hand from the sound ninja, his team now safely away from him. He watched as the ninja stood up, giving him a heated glare. The Genin braced himself for what was to come. He wouldn't let his team down. It had been a few minutes since they left Choji behind. Niji led the team through the dense forest, only this time they were moving much faster. The Hyuga frowned as he slowed his pace until he was running next to Naruto. "There's another one up ahead," Niji informed as they continued to move through the trees. Naruto scowled. They couldn't waste any more time with them. "Shino," he called, getting the attention of the bug user, "this time you'll stay behind. Make sure to cover our backs since we're not stopping." "I understand," Shino calmly replied. It was time to test the results of the training he had undergone. Ino kept quiet as they grew closer to the clearing, throwing a quick glance at her boyfriend. His fists were clenched, as was his jaw. He was obviously upset with leaving his teammates behind to fend for themselves. Watching his troubled face, she arrived at one conclusion: Sasuke would really regret trying to leave the village. "Be careful, Shino," Naruto let out as the team jumped into the clearing ahead. This time a sound ninja with 6 arms stood before them, an amused smirk on his face. Bugs instantly shot out of Shino's sleeves, heading straight for the 6-armed ninja. Kidamaru quickly jumped away and shot a web at Shino, who easily sidestepped the attack. The sound ninja snarled, taking note that the rest of the Leaf team was gone. They had used the bug user to distract him while they ran away. "Very cowardly of your teammates to leave you behind," he growled. Shino kept to himself, gathering bugs around his sleeves. "You're not a talker, I see," Kidamaru muttered with a smirk. "Not to worry, though," he declared as he set his eyes on his soon-to-be victim. "I'll still enjoy killing you." Kimimaro and Tayuya kept a steady pace as they made their way through the dense forest. The Sound 4 leader, Kimimaro, was now carrying the barrel in which they had put Sasuke. The Uchiha was undergoing a procedure they had all gone through in order to gain the Curse Seal level 2. Chances of living were slim, but he was sure that the Uchiha would pull, though Orochimaru had chosen him as his new vessel after all. The Sound 4 leader turned to Tayuya, earning an odd look from the Sound Kunoichi. "Stay behind like the others," he ordered in a calm voice. Since they were being followed by Leaf Shinobi, it was best to stall for time since the Leaf Ninja hand slowed their pace. Going through the procedure had taken its time, and carrying the Uchiha slowed their usual pace, which meant that the Leaf team would catch up in just a few moments. Tayuya scowled but obliged regardless. Kimimaro had a tendency of killing those that didn't follow orders, and, as much as she hated to admit it, he could kill her easily. "There's another one up ahead," Niji informed the group of ninja behind him. "All right then," Lee exclaimed with a smile. The green-clad ninja moved past his comrades. "I'll take care of this next one. If I can't, then I'll do 1,000 push-ups and sit-ups." Naruto nodded at the genin. "We're counting on you, Lee." "Kick their asses," Ino smirked. The group of ninjas soon found themselves facing another Sound ninja. This one had short spiky orange hair. He wore an outfit similar to the others, but the thing that set him apart from the others was the expression on his face. His face showed hesitation, as if he didn't want to fight. "I shall be your opponent," Lee announced as he got into his taijutsu stance. Naruto nodded at his group, turning to Lee once more. "Be careful." Lee watched his team take off. He had expected the Sound ninja to intercept them, but, much to his shock, he didn't move. The green-clad ninja smiled in excitement. "How very youthful of you to let them go. This is a battle between you and me. Let's see which one of us is stronger." With that, Lee ran at the sound ninja with his right fist held back, the sound ninja narrowing his eyes in concentration. Naruto kept a frown on his face as he followed after Neji, Ino by his side, and a few clones watching their backs. The blonde didn't feel right, just leaving his friends to fend for themselves, but he couldn't do anything about it. Not only were they determined to stay behind, but the mission depended on each second that passed. "I'll just have to kick Sasuke's ass back to the village faster than I thought," he concluded, suddenly skidding to a stop when Neji stopped moving. His fists clenched, already knowing what was happening. "There's someone up ahead," Neji let out through gritted teeth as he focused on the area ahead. The Chunin gritted his teeth. Neji was still needed, but leaving Ino behind was the last thing he wanted. She might be a capable kunoichi, but he still worried about her. Who's going to stay behind? Ino turned to her two comrades, Naruto having an inner war with himself while Neji was focused on the area ahead. "Wait," Neji spoke up, a little louder than usual, "I think I see Sasuke." The blonde couple looked at Neji in astonishment. Had he really found him? "It's definitely him," the Hyuga nodded to himself, turning to Naruto with a serious expression on his face. "I'll stay behind to fight the person ahead." Ino frowned, a scowl on her face. "You can't. You're still needed to chase after Sasuke." Neji shook his head. "By the looks of things, someone is carrying Sasuke. Their speed is not too great. If you two just head straight, I'm sure you'll catch up to them quickly." "All right then," Naruto nodded, turning to Ino, "let's get going." The three continued on their way, running into the final Sound 4 member. Tayuya stood on a large branch from a tall tree. She glared at the three ninja that had just arrived. It was thanks to them that she had been forced to stay behind. "You're not getting past here," she declared as she took out a flute. "Naruto," Neji whispered, dropping into his taijutsu stance. The blonde turned his attention to the Hyuga, wondering what it was that he wanted. "I need you to knock her off that branch with one of your wind jutsu." He kept his gaze on the sound ninja, "that way she won't be able to stop you two from chasing after Sasuke." "No problem," Naruto muttered with a smirk, running through hand signs. Wind style, devastation, a powerful gust of wind shot out of his mouth, heading straight for the sound ninja. Tayuya growled as she jumped away from the attack, eyes widening when seeing the Hyuga standing directly in front of her. He threw an open palm at her shoulder. She leaned her body to the left, effectively dodging the blow. The sound ninja followed with a knee to the Hyuga's stomach. Neji raised his own knee, blocking the attack without much trouble. Neji jumped away from the sound ninja, landing safely on a tree branch. He watched as Tayuya landed in front of him, shooting him a heated glare. "Thanks to you the shitheads left," Tayuya spat. "Don't think that I'll let you out of this alive." Neji took his usual taijutsu style, Byakugan activating, "Don't underestimate me." Naruto and Ino sped through the woods. The two could see a fair amount of light growing closer and closer, meaning that they would be out of the woods in just a few moments. The kunoichi wondered just how far they had gone but didn't think much of it. They had been running at their full speed for around an hour. It was obvious that they would catch up to the sound ninja easily. The two ninjas jumped out of the woods, arriving on a grassy plain where a white-haired ninja stood. Both Leaf Ninja looked at him in surprise, not expecting him to be waiting for them with such a calm look on his face, a look that showed the ninja's trust in his abilities. "Where's Sasuke?" Naruto growled, his eyes inspecting the barrel the sound ninja kept at his side. Kimimaro kept a stoic expression, not really threatened by the ninja. "He's going through preparation," he calmly stated, pointing at the barrel next to him. "This is where he'll evolve into a body fit for Lord Orochimaru." Naruto gritted his teeth, not liking the expression on the sound ninja's face. It somewhat reminded him of Orochimaru's usual smirk. It wasn't a smug look or anything of that kind. The calm expression on the sound ninja's face told him all he needed to know about him. He was not on the same level as his allies. Ino watched her boyfriend analyzing the enemy, wondering why he seemed so shaken. She looked at the sound ninja oddly. He was different than the others, that much was obvious, but was it really a reason to be so wary around him? "Listen up," Naruto muttered with his eyes closed, fists clenching. He snapped his eyes open, showing his blue eyes burning in determination. I'm taking Sasuke back to Konoha. I don't care if I have to literally go through you. I will take him back. Kimimaro narrowed his eyes. It doesn't matter how determined you are, he deadpanned as a bone struck out of his hand. He gripped the sharp bone tightly. If you attempt anything against Lord Orochimaru's plans, then I'll kill you. Ino and Naruto slipped into their taijutsu stances, the latter throwing a look at his girlfriend. Be careful with this one, he warned in a harsh whisper, he's on a whole other level. Ino's eyes widened, looking at Naruto with a look of disbelief. Was he really that strong? He sure didn't look it. But, looking at her boyfriend, she knew that he was completely serious. The scowl that refused to leave his face was proof enough of that. She turned to the enemy ninja. If he really was on another level, then it meant that she couldn't take her eyes off of him for a single second. Still, one question remained. Is he stronger than Naruto? It would be a 2-on-1 fight, they had the clear advantage. But the shaken expression on her boyfriend's face told her otherwise. The way she saw it, there were two answers. One, the sound ninja was way out of their league. Or maybe Naruto was just looking out for her, like usual. She shook her head, ridding herself of those thoughts. If he was really worried about her, then she would show him that he didn't need to. She hadn't been training with Tsunade for nothing. The air was tense as Naruto and Ino stared down Kimimaro. The sound ninja kept his eyes on the two-leaf ninja, deciding to let them attack first. That way he would get a quick look into what was in store. Naruto suddenly flashed through hand signs, the speed taking Ino by surprise. Wind style, he began, taking a deep breath, devastation. Wind shot out of the Chunin's mouth, taking grass and dirt with it. Kimimaro remained motionless as the attack neared him, watching the powerful gust of wind with a calculating expression. If this was what they had to offer, then he was not impressed. You'll pay for letting them get away, Jirobo glared at the leaf ninja. Choji's stance stiffened, his legs bent slightly in case he needed to move away from the area. The sound ninja made no signs of moving. Instead, he continued to glare at him with a frown on his face. I should have guessed that Konoha Shinobi would leave their comrades behind, Jirobo growled as he ran through hand signs. But it doesn't matter. All I have to do is kill you and then go after your comrades. The sound ninja slammed his hand on the ground. The ground began to shake before suddenly erupting, creating a large dust cloud that shielded the sound ninja from view. The sound of footsteps was the only warning Choji had as Jirobo suddenly emerged from the dust cloud, charging at him with his right fist held back. Choji, trusting his own strength, tried to catch the fist but was overwhelmed by the cheer power behind it. The Genin let out a gasp of pain, unknowingly dropping his guard. Jirobo smirked as he struck Choji on the stomach with his knee. The leaf ninja choked back a cry before being knocked away by a hard punch to his face. Choji sailed through the air before painfully crashing on the ground. He grit his teeth in pain as he managed to stand back up, his left hand aching from his attempt to stop Jirobo's fist. What's wrong, fat ass? Jirobo taunted with a smirk, noticing the slight clench on the leaf ninja's fists. Now that those trash shinobi abandoned you, nobody can help you. I'll make sure to enjoy your chakra once you're taken down. Choji glared at the sound ninja. Don't you ever talk about my friends like that. The Genin began to spin in place, kicking up clouds of dust as he grew in size, human boulder. Choji rolled towards Jirobo, the ground beneath the two of them shaking. The sound ninja planted his feet on the ground, smirking at the attempt of an attack. He let out a grunt as his hands slammed against the rolling ninja, stopping him dead on his tracks. Pathetic. The sound ninja smirked as he brought his foot back. You call this an attack? He brought his foot forward in a powerful kick that sent the young Genin hurling through the air. Choji's size returned to normal as he crashed against the ground, a gasp of pain leaving his mouth. I have to use it. Choji gritted his teeth in pain as he managed to sit up. There was no way that he could go against someone like Jirobo without using his secret weapon. He reached into his jacket's pocket and took out a glass case containing 3 different colored pills. Jirobo watched as the genin stood up and, not wanting to give him a chance to move, he charged at him almost immediately. He raised his right fist, prepared to deliver another blow since he couldn't be stopped once he began moving. As the sound ninja grew closer to Choji, the latter began to move towards his enemy. Jirobo almost smirked before his eyes widened in shock, a tremendous amount of pain shooting through his stomach. Lowering his head, he saw Choji's fist implanted to his gut. How? Choji took hold his enemy's arm, easily slinging him over his shoulder and hurling him through the air. Human boulder, he exclaimed once more as he regained the shape of a large spinning boulder. Not giving Jirobo a chance to land, he shot at him, the ground beneath him breaking apart. While on the air, Jirobo managed to see the incoming attack. He ran through hand signs as he twisted in the air. As soon as his feet touched the ground, he slapped his hands on it, a wall of earth raising from the ground and covering him from view. Choji slammed against the wall of earth, immediately coming to a stop. He dropped his jutsu just as the wall came down. Jirobo was in front of him immediately, throwing another punch. Choji raised his right hand quickly, catching the incoming punch without much trouble. Using his other hand, he threw a punch at the enemy ninja, managing to hit him on the chest. Jirobo let out a grunt on pain before glaring and elbowing the Akimichi in the face. Choji staggered backwards before receiving a hard open palm to his chest. The genin jumped away from his enemy, wanting to put a bit of a distance between them. I can't believe I have to use this while fighting him, Jirobo frowned as black marks spread through his face, familiar strength going through his system. He charged at the leaf ninja once more, only this time with his lord's power surging through him. Choji gritted his teeth as he ran at the sound ninja, noticing the slight boost on speed. He threw a punch as soon as he was close enough. Jirobo smirked as he raised his knee to block the blow before throwing a punch at the Akimichi's face. Choji's face snapped to the side as he fell on the ground, not knowing where the sudden boost in power had come from. He tried to stand, but was stopped by a foot slamming on his chest. The leaf ninja let out a cry of pain as Jirobo put pressure on his chest. Did you think I'd let you get away with hurting me? Jirobo growled as he raised his foot before bringing it down on Choji's chest once more. He smirked in amusement at the pain written all over the genin's face. I'm going to enjoy this. Partial expansion jutsu. Choji exclaimed as his right arm grew in size and struck at Jirobo's torso. The sound ninja let out a cry of pain as he was hurled away from the leaf ninja. Jirobo managed to land on the ground without much trouble, watching as his opponent rose to his feet. The young genin panted as he brought a hand to his jacket once more, this time taking out a yellow pill. I can't let them down, he told himself as he swallowed the pill. Almost immediately he felt his strength return. The wounds on his body didn't bother him anymore. He could feel the power surging through his body. He could do this. Jirobo kept his distance. He had seen the leaf ninja consume one of those pills earlier and gain strength out of nowhere. This time he knew better. He would keep out of his reach in order to study him. He didn't want to be caught by surprise again. Choji ran at the sound ninja, noticing that he had yet to move. Partial expansion jutsu, he threw a punch just as his arm extended, making contact with a shocked Jirobo. The sound ninja sailed through the air, eyes widening in shock as an enlarged foot came down on him. He was crushed against the ground, letting out a cry of pain, his eyes burning in rage. More black marks stretched around his face as the feet retracted back to its owner. So far so good. Choji muttered to himself, watching as Jirobo began to stand. Even from this distance he could see that he had done a number on him. The sound ninja's clothes were stained with a bit of blood and covered in dirt and pebbles. I won't let you live, you damned piece of trash. Jirobo exclaimed in rage. Purple chakra swirled around him as he prepared for his next attack. The real fight starts now. Orochimaru sat on his throne-like chair with an amused smile on his face. A kneeling messenger brought news of Sasuke's defection. Everything was going according to plan, and only a few hours the young Uchiha would be his. It was too bad that he had to wait before taking over another body, but patience was something he didn't lack. After all, he had waited for this single chance for years now. Lord Orochimaru, Kabuto made his presence known as he entered the room with a chart on hand. Forgive my disturbance. Orochimaru chuckled. Not to worry, Kabuto, he eased his underling. I am in a very good mood right now. I came here because the last of the messengers has arrived, he informed in a serious tone. Are you sure that calling them back here was a good idea? Oh? Orochimaru smirked. Are you questioning my orders? Kabuto flinched, bowing his head quickly. That wasn't my intention. Not to worry, the snake summoner assured. I entrusted the Sound Four with bringing him to me. I am sure that they will get it done. They are useful tools, after all. Kabuto nodded before leaving the room. Orochimaru watched him go, wondering how long it would be until his new body arrived. Shino dodged another string of web as he sent more bugs towards his opponent. The Konoha ninja looked around the area, wondering where the Sound Ninja had gone. They had ended up fighting in an area filled with trees, and since the sun was just rising, it was quite dark due to the shadows that engulfed the area. So far, his fight had been a long-range one. The Sound Ninja had taken to hiding around the woods while he had been forced to dodge each attack that came his way. The problem did not lay with the fact that the enemy was hiding somewhere in the area. He was familiar with this woods after all. No, the problem lay with the constant projectiles being sent his way. They seemed to come from all directions, and dodging was becoming a little harder as time passed. I've had enough of this cat and mouse game, Kidamaru complained as he landed on a branch in front of Shino. The enemy ninja smirked. Let's get this over with so that I can take care of the other idiots. Shino frowned as he gathered bugs around his sleeves. The Sound Ninja shot a web at the ninja, who easily jumped over the attack and unleashed a cloud of bugs. Kidamaru frowned and trapped the bugs with a large web before a dark brown substance came out of his mouth. The bug user was forced to dodge as kunai made of the odd substance were sent his way. Shino moved away from the area, wondering just how he could take this enemy down. He was broken out of his thoughts by another wave of projectiles hitting straight for him. The bug user managed to replace himself with a log, giving him a bit more thinking time. Shino landed on the ground to see another wave or projectiles hitting his way. He quickly ran through hand signs before slamming his hands on the ground. Earth style, mud wall, he muttered as the ground in front of him rose, defending him against the incoming projectiles. Shino nodded to himself before jumping to the nearest tree branch. He had come up with something he hoped would work, though it would be risky. Using the bugs he had placed around the area, he was able to find Kidamaru's location without much trouble. He reached into his kunai pouch and took out 2 kunai. With a flick of his wrist, the projectiles were hurled through the air. Kidamaru jumped away from where he had been standing, dodging the incoming weapons without much trouble. He turned to his enemy to see him airborne. Not wasting any time, he used his webs to catch the Aburame. He smirked, seeing his webs wrap around the ninja before his bound body fell on a tree branch. The bug user cursed under his breath and struggled against the webs. He let out a gasp when Kidamaru appeared in front of him with a smirk on his face. "Look what I caught," the Sound Ninja chuckled. He kicked the Aburame from the tree branch, only for him to get caught in a large web. "I made that while you were running around. I knew it would get you." He jumped to the other end of the web and ran through hand signs. "Now you die, leaf trash." The Sound Ninja slammed his hands on the web, creating a large cloud of smoke. Shino kept his usual expression as a giant spider was summoned, its eyes glaring at him from the end of the web. The giant arachnid began to move only for the webs to suddenly break. Almost immediately Shino tore the webs, keeping him in place, and leapt at the Sound Ninja. Another cloud of bugs left his sleeves as bugs came out of the trees around the Sound Ninja. Kidamaru let out a surprised gasp just as thousands of bugs came from all sides. The Sound Ninja tried to jump away but couldn't stop the bugs from latching onto his body. With a cry of pain, he fell on a tree branch, struggling against the bugs on his body. "What the fuck is this? How did you break my webs?" Kidamaru screamed as he tried to tear the bugs off. "Where did these bugs come from?" "Your webs were reinforced with chakra," Shino stated as he dug his hands into his pockets. When you caught my bugs in them, they simply sucked the chakra out before breaking out. They did the same with the web that caught me. The bug user turned his gaze to the spider on the ground. Normal webs could not support the weight of the spider, which is why it fell. During my chase, I set various bugs around the area for a chance like this. With you thinking that you had beaten me, it was easy for my bugs to attack. Why, you bastard! Kadamaru yelled before being kicked off the tree branch by Shino. The sound ninja fell on the ground, now completely covered in bugs, letting out muffled cries. Shino stared at the fallen sound shinobi before turning his gaze to the spider that had begun to climb up the trees, now to take care of that thing. Choji took out 2 strings with several kunai tied to them. He put them over his body as he prepared his next jutsu. The Akimichi began to grow in size as he rolled in place. Spiky human boulder. Choji let out as he rolled towards his enemy. Jirobo ran through hand signs before slamming the ground with a single hand. Earth-style, earth-shaking palm, the ground in front of him let out with chunks of rocks and pebbles shooting out of it. Choji was taken aback by the attack, almost going off course, but didn't let up. Instead, he pushed through it, heading straight for the sound ninja with no sign of stopping. Jirobo gritted his teeth as he jumped away from the genin, watching as he kept on going and cut a tree in half. Choji slowly turned back to the enemy ninja before shooting towards him once more. Jirobo ran through hand signs and slammed both hands on the ground, a wall of earth rising from the ground to protect him. The Akimichi crashed against the wall but didn't stop. Instead, he continued to push. It wasn't long until the wall began to crumble, much to Jirobo's shock, before finally breaking into millions of tiny pieces. Jirobo let out a cry of pain as he was struck by the attack, the many kunai digging into his skin. The sound ninja tried to push against Choji but was overwhelmed and flattened by the leaf ninja. As soon as he felt the sound ninja go down, Choji dropped his jutsu. Expansion jutsu, his body grew until he towered over the trees. He then threw himself at the sound ninja, expecting to crush him and end the fight. Instead, he felt a pair of hands on his stomach and no impact. This flailed his body as he was pushed up, his eyes wide in shock. Beneath him, an enraged Jirobo lifted the giant Choji. Purple chakra flared around him, his body features covered by darkness. He let out a yell as he threw the Akimichi off of him, breaking several trees in the process. Choji's body returned to its normal size as he began to stand. What happened, he wondered as he watched Jirobo's new appearance. His skin was now red with his hair growing into a kind of mane that went down his back. He's completely different than before. To have such a ninja make me go into level 2, he growled, I'll make sure to kill you this time. Choji simply stood on his usual taijutsu stance. He panted, the pill's effects were wearing off and he was beginning to feel dizzy. This just got bad. Shino watched as his bugs engulfed the giant spider. He reached into his kunai pouch, taking out a kunai with an explosive tag wrapped around it. He recalled his bugs just as he sent the kunai flying, exploding as soon as it made contact with the giant spider. Screeched before bursting in a cloud of smoke. Looks like I'm done here, Shino muttered to himself, turning to leave. I'll have to be quick and help the others. He began to move before his bugs trembled in alarm. He turned back to where the fallen ninja was to see a purple chakra erupt from the ninja. This is like that other time, he cursed. His bugs weren't very helpful when it came to this kind of chakra. They couldn't drain it and would die as soon as they came in contact with it. Kadamaru chuckled as he rose to his feet, his appearance greatly changed. He now had dark red skin, 2 horns sticking out of his long white hair and most of his body. A third eye opened on his forehead as he stared at the bug user. We're not done yet, the sound ninja smirked as more purple chakra swirled around him. This fight's just begun. Shino cursed as he slipped into his taijutsu stance. His bugs would be close to useless now. It seemed like he would need to rely on his new abilities. He trusted his abilities, but, looking at his opponent, things were far from good. Kakashi entered the Leaf Village, instantly feeling the weight of his last mission come off his shoulders. He reached into his vest and took out a familiar book. He couldn't wait to get home and do some reading. The last mission had been abrupt and had forced him to drop the book in a classic cliffhanger. He smiled underneath his mask. Now he could find out how the hero would get his next victim. The Jonin let out a perverted giggle as he walked through the streets, some civilians giving him odd looks. A flash of paint caught his eye. Ignoring the odd looks from the civilians, he turned to the source to see Sakura sitting on a bench with her gaze on the ground. A frown formed underneath his mask. His student needed some self-esteem lessons. The lightest insult could get her down from time to time. He slapped his book shut and walked over to his student, now knowing that whoever her new mentor was needed to be overly confident. "What are you lazing around here for?" he asked in a light tone. Sakura's head snapped towards her teacher, her eyebrows almost touching her hair. "Kakashi-sensei," she let out in complete shock. The Jonin chuckled. "Why so surprised, Sakura?" "Sasuke left the village." Sakura exclaimed in desperation, taking Kakashi by surprise. Naruto was sent to go after him. "They've been gone for a few hours." "Wait here," Kakashi ordered as he sped out of the village. "Damn it," he growled, cursing himself for not predicting this. Sasuke had been acting really strange for the past couple of weeks. He could have made sure to have someone of trust watch over him. He quickly ran through hand signs, summoning jutsu. Pakken appeared next to Kakashi, already running next to him. "What's the problem this time?" "I want you to find Sasuke's or Naruto's scent." The two were now jumping along the trees that surrounded Konoha. "No problem," Pakken assured. He was already familiar with their scent, having spent a lot of time around them during the invasion. He smelled the air and turned to Kakashi. "Their scent is strong, though Sasuke's is a little bit more faint." "Lead the way," Kakashi muttered as he followed after his summon. Niji watched as Tayuya put a flute to her mouth. He looked at her oddly before leaping towards her. Whatever it was she was preparing, he would stop it. The sound ninja smirked when she saw the Hyuga get close. She quickly ran through hand signs before slamming her hands on the ground. Summoning jutsu, she exclaimed as three ogres appeared in front of her. Niji stopped dead on his tracks, narrowing his eyes at the three ogres that towered over him. It seemed that she was starting big, quite literally, which would be a problem to him. He suddenly heard a soft tune coming from the sound ninja's flute. He briefly wondered why she had suddenly decided to play her flute before he was forced to jump away, watching as an ogre landed where he had just been. He caught movement to his right and quickly twisted his body in the air, dodging a punch from one of the ogres. Damn, he cursed himself for letting them attack first. He landed on a branch just as another ogre leapt at him with a club on hand. The ogre brought the club down on the Hyuga, who easily sidestepped the attack before striking the ogre on the chest. The tune the sound ninja played became more chaotic as the three ogres all jumped at him at the same time. 8 trigrams palm rotation, the Hyuga began rotating and releasing chakra at the same time. The ogres crashed against the dome before being knocked away. Niji instantly stopped his attack and leapt at the nearest ogre. 8 trigrams 64 palms, he began his attack on the ogre before it suddenly disappeared in a cloud of smoke. His eyes widened as the other two summons leapt at him once more. One of them took hold of his right leg before hurling him through the air. Niji sailed through the air before crashing against a tree, letting out a grunt of pain. He slowly rose to his feet, his back aching from the impact. Tayuya smirked as she played her flute, this time playing in a faster tune. Under her command, the two ogres charged at the Hyuga once more. The Leaf Ninja jumped away from the two ogres in a poor attempt of losing them. It was amusing to see him try so hard. Her ogres were controlled through her music, meaning that as long as she could see him, the ogres could too. This made any attempt at losing them futile. Niji gritted his teeth as he continued to dodge the ogre's attacks. "I have to think of something or I'll be killed," he growled before reaching for a couple of kunai. He hurled them at the two summons, but they simply bounced off them, not even leaving a scratch. The Hyuga heard the tune of the flute change once more just as the two ogres began to charge at him. She controls them. Niji jumped over them before reaching for 2 more kunai. He flung one through the air before landing on a tree branch. He focused his gaze on the area before throwing the other one. Not missing a beat, Niji reached for more kunai. If he wanted to get rid of the ogres, it would have to be while they were separated. The first kunai sailed through the air before being hit on the handle by the other, changing its course of direction. Tayuya's eyes widened before jumping away from the incoming projectile. This proved to be a mistake since a wave of kunai headed straight for her. Cursing under her breath, she quickly called one of her nearby ogres to block the attack. Now's my chance. Niji ran at the lone ogre and struck it in the heart with a hard palm, instantly making it disappear in a cloud of smoke. That wasn't bad, Tayuya smirked from her spot on a tree branch. With her flute on hand and her last remaining ogre next to her, she knew that she was still at the advantage. But it all ends now. Black marks spread through her face as she began to play her flute once more. The remaining ogre opened its mouth, making a gagging noise. Niji watched as an odd plasma-like substance emerged from the ogre's mouth. The odd creature floated in the air with its attention on Niji. It screeched, revealing its sharp set of teeth, before charging at the Hyuga. Niji threw a kunai at the creature, but it went through it without any sign of hurting it. He cursed before kicking off the branch he had been standing on and running up a tall tree with the creature following close behind. The Hyuga was at a loss. If a solid object had simply phased through the creature he couldn't hurt normally, he would need a powerful impact to get rid of it. He reached into his kunai pouch once more, taking out an explosive tag along the kunai. Kicking off the three, he quickly wrapped the seal around the kunai's handle and dived towards the ground headfirst. He flicked his wrist as soon as the creature was in front of him. The kunai entered the creature's body before lighting up and exploding. Niji was hurled through the air, getting caught in the explosion, before slamming against the ground. Damn! Niji groaned in pain as he rose to his knees. With his Byakugan active, he could see Tayuya playing her flute while the remaining ogre was hitting his way. This wouldn't be too much of a problem, though he had been slammed on the ground countless of times. He slipped into his taijutsu stance. He still had a lot of churka left. He could do this. Shizune entered the Hokage's office with a nervous expression on her face. She could tell that the Hokage was not in the best of moods. She was probably worried about Naruto going after Sasuke with only a few genin. Disturbing her now would be a bad idea. But, nevertheless, the Hokage needed to hear the latest news. Lady Tsunade, Shizune called. Getting a look from Tsunade, there's a bit of a problem. Tsunade frowned, just what she needed at the moment. What happened now? The sand representative is gone, the young medic informed, instantly getting a surprised look from the Hokage. There's a few ninja looking around the village, but he's nowhere to be found. Tsunade nodded absently. She had a good idea of where he had gone. From what she had heard from Kakashi, he had a kind of friendship with Naruto. It had been the reason she had asked for him to come to the Leaf. It was obvious that if he had found out that Naruto had gone out on a retrieval mission, he would tag along. Don't worry much about it, Shizune. Tsunade waved her off. Gaara was sure to follow after Naruto. In fact, I'm kind of glad he did. Shizune nodded before laughing nervously. Then, Kiba breaking out of the hospital and leaving the village should be good news, right? What? Tsunade growled in annoyance. Lee kept his exited grin as he stood in front of the sound ninja. It wasn't every day that he could test out his skills and make Gai-sensei proud. All right then, I'll start things off. The genin instantly charged at the unnamed enemy ninja. The sound ninja's eyes widened slightly before jumping out of the ninja's way. Lee stopped on his tracks before turning to the enemy and charging once more, this time at a faster speed. The sound ninja jumped over Lee once more before suddenly doubling over in pain. Gritting his teeth, he looked down to see Lee's fist on his stomach. The genin proceeded to pull down the enemy ninja before spinning in the air and delivering a hard kick to his back. The sound ninja let out a grunt of pain as he crashed on the ground, kicking up dirt. Lee frowned once he landed on the ground. For some reason, the sound ninja wasn't fighting back, as if he was trying to avoid fighting. The sound ninja rose to his feet once more and simply looked at him with calm orange eyes. I don't want to fight, the ninja muttered, getting a surprised look from Lee. The genin suppressed a disappointed sigh before reaching into his kunai pouch. It was no use fighting with someone like him, since it wouldn't be honorable to attack someone who wouldn't fight back. Lee took out a pair of smoke bombs and threw them on the ground, the black smoke instantly shielding him from view. The Sound Ninja watched as the smoke dispersed with no signs of the Leaf Ninja. It was apparent that he had simply left after their little exchange of words. "I don't want to fight." But the Sound Ninja could still clearly see his friend's face when he explained the mission. Kimimaro didn't want any errors on the mission and he didn't want to let him down, but I have to stop him. The ninja nodded to himself before giving chase, following the light sounds of retreating footsteps and the occasional foot imprint on tree branches. Jirobo charged at Choji with rage-filled eyes. The Akimichi was taken aback by the speed and was struck in the stomach. He coughed up blood as the fist dug into him before receiving another hard blow to his face. Choji fell on the ground before quickly getting to his feet and jumping away from his opponent. His eyes widened when he found no sign of Jirobo before feeling something hard impact his head. He cried in pain as he was thrown towards the ground. Choji managed to spin his body and land on his feet. He quickly moved towards one of the nearby trees, not wanting to be caught and surprised by the Sound Ninja. "Not good enough, leaf trash," he heard Jirobo's voice behind him. Much to Choji's shock, Jirobo was standing behind him with a smug expression on his face. The Sound Ninja grabbed him by the scruff of his neck before slamming him against a tree. Choji struggled against the hold, feeling his remaining chakra disappear. Jirobo smirked as blue chakra trailed up his arm. "It was a good thing you were here. I was getting a little hungry." His eyes narrowed when the steady flow of chakra stopped altogether. He threw the Leaf Ninja away with a snarl. "That was it. I'm still hungry." Choji's eyelids grew heavy as he fought to stay conscious. Things were looking dire at the moment and, unless he did something drastic, he would end up dying. He dug into his pocket and took out the last pill, looking at it in deep thought. "If I eat this, I'll die, but at least I would take him down with me." Jirobo neared the fallen ninja. "I'll just kill you and take the chakra of the ninja that deserted you." "They're nothing but cowards." He raised his right arm before bringing it down on the helpless ninja. The ground trembled from the mighty punch, but only that. There was no sign of the Leaf Ninja that should be dead at the moment. Seeing a bit of movement out of the corner of his eye, Jirobo turned around to see Choji standing there with his back to him. "How did you dodge that?" Choji said nothing as he turned to see his opponent eye to eye. His face was sharper and his clothes seemed to be too big for him. "They didn't desert me. I chose to stay here," he glared, balling his hands into fists. Chakra flared around him, settling on his back and taking the shape of butterfly. "Wings, I won't forgive you for talking like that about my friends." He phased form view before reappearing in front of Jirobo. His fist met his stomach in a devastating blow that made him double over in pain. The Sound Ninja gagged as he staggered backwards, with a few tears rolling down his face due to the strain on his throat. Choji followed with a kick to the Sound Ninja's chin, sending him flying through the air. "This is impossible. How can he be this strong?" Jirobo tried to spin in the air but froze when seeing a shadow above him. The Akimichi twirled in the air before delivering a powerful kick to the back of Jirobo's neck. With a loud snapping sound, the Sound Ninja's body went limp as he fell through the air. His lifeless body crashed on the ground with his curse seal disappearing. Choji landed on the ground with wobbling legs. He let out a hiss of pain as he fell to his knees with sweat rolling down his face. The effects of the pills already taking effect, no doubt. "I did it," he muttered to himself with a small smile. His eyes began to close as he laid down on the ground. "I did it." Lee made his way through the forest at a steady pace. It had been only a few moments ago that he left the odd Sound Ninja. Part of him wished to have fought him, but he knew that his friends came first and, judging from the faraway explosions, he knew that they really needed him. He continued to make his way through the woods before hearing a branch snap. Lee turned his head to see the Sound Ninja from before chasing after him. He scowled in confusion as the ninja landed in front of him with an odd look on his face. "I came here to stop you," the Sound Ninja stated. Lee couldn't help but feel a bit of excitement as he slipped into his taijutsu stance. "Let's go then." He instantly leapt towards the ninja. His hair swayed with the wind as he brought his right fist back in preparation. The sound ninja seemed to freeze up before receiving a punch to his stomach. The sound ninja doubled over in pain just as Lee spun in place to deliver a kick to his ribs. Lee followed up with a series of kicks. The sound ninja could only moan in pain from Lee's restless attack. Lee ended his assault with a final kick to the ninja's chest. The sound ninja crashed against a tree before quickly getting back on his feet. There was a bit of blood on the side of his mouth, but otherwise, he was fine. I do not wish to fight if you continue to just stand there, Lee frowned. He could see the hesitation in the sound ninja and didn't understand why he was pushing himself so hard. They were from Sound, a place controlled by Orochimaru. Why would they show such loyalty to it? The sound ninja clenched his fists. He couldn't let Kimimaro down. He was the only person he had, his only friend. Now that he depended on him for this mission, he couldn't let him down. Lee's eyes widened in shock. Purple chakra flared around the sound ninja, his orange eyes glaring at him in pure rage. The green-clad ninja took an involuntary step back just as the ninja shot off the tree. The sound ninja raised his right fist, ready to strike the enemy as soon as possible. Years of training with taijutsu told Lee to duck just as the fist zoomed past him. The green-clad ninja raised his head before pushing against the ground and delivering an elbow to the sound ninja's stomach. The enemy ninja merely grunted before raising his right knee and meeting Lee's stomach in a hard blow. Lee gritted his teeth before jumping away from the ninja, wanting to put a bit of distance between them. His stomach ached in pain, but he ignored it as he charged at the enemy once more. Once close enough, he threw a punch that was easily knocked aside by the sound ninja's right hand. Using the momentum, Lee twisted his body to the right as he brought his left arm forward, delivering a hard punch to the ninja's face. The sound ninja glared as he sailed through the air before landing on a tree without much trouble. He watched as the leaf ninja leapt at him once more. He took in a deep breath before jumping towards the leaf ninja. He hoped that getting serious wouldn't cost him his sanity. Lee neared the sound ninja, his eyes widening when the sound ninja's right arm suddenly turned dark and grew in shape. With a sudden flash of blue, the sound ninja's fist dug into Lee's stomach. The green-clad ninja let out a choked scream as the sound ninja brought his arm back before delivering another powerful punch to his chest. What was that? Lee flipped in the air and managed to land on a tree branch safely. He looked at his opponent in wonder. His right arm was going back to normal, which meant that he had just used some kind of jutsu. Whatever it was, he would make sure to win, then I'll get serious too. Lee took off the weights on his legs, holding them on his hands while keeping his eyes on the sound ninja. He ran at the enemy at a much faster pace, before swinging one of the weights at him. The weight stuck the ninja on the side. The enemy winced in pain before Lee swung the other weight. Now knowing just how heavy the weights were, the sound ninja took a quick step back, effectively dodging the heavy object. His arm changed once more as he threw another enhanced punch. Lee dropped both weights on the branch, instantly breaking it from the impact. The sound ninja's punch lost its trajectory, giving him the chance he needed. "Leaf Hurricane," he exclaimed as he kicked the sound ninja in the face. He followed with a kick to the stomach that was immediately followed by another kick to the ninja's face. Lee continued his assault before kicking him away and dropping on one of the branches in his taijutsu style, an exited glint on his eyes. The sound ninja landed on the ground without much trouble. He turned his attention to the leaf shinobi, wondering just how much faster he had gotten. It was almost impossible to keep up with him. The left side of his face turned darker as he came to the conclusion that he wouldn't be able to beat the ninja without getting serious. Kakashi and Pakken sped through the woods. So far they hadn't run into anybody, but, according to the ninja hound, there were several battles going on. Since they were sound ninja, obviously trained by the likes of Orochimaru, Kakashi knew that they would be in trouble. He didn't exactly know just who had gone on the mission, but he hoped that they would be able to hold on. "There's somebody up ahead," Pakken broke the silence with a sharp voice. "We better hurry. I smell a lot of blood." The two continued to speed through the woods before arriving on a large clearing. It was easy to see that a battle had taken place due to the broken ground and many broken trees. Kakashi's visible eye widened when he noticed the genin unconscious on the ground. He was at his side in a second, recognizing the young genin almost instantly. This is bad. He looked over the condition of Choji. His body was way too thin for an Akimichi. He could almost see the bones underneath his skin. Most of his body fat is gone. This could only mean that he used all of the pills. He had met his fair amount of Akimichi on his days and had seen what those pills could do. They turned body fat into chakra. An incredibly dangerous thing to do. In fact, some had even died from using all three. Shadow clone jutsu, he muttered as a clone appeared at his side. Go back to the leaf and take him to a hospital. The clone nodded before picking up the young genin and taking off. This is bad, he muttered to himself. If Choji had been pushed this far, then what was of the rest of them? Let's keep going packing. The ninja hound nodded as the two broke into a run. Kakashi followed after him with a worried gaze. He hoped that the rest of the team could hold on long enough for him to arrive. A single eye made of sand could be seen in the sky. From the trees, Gaara scanned the whole area. His arms were crossed with his usual gourd on his back. He had been able to hear of Naruto's pursuit of the Uchiha due to the pink-haired Kunoichi. It was by pure coincidence that he happened to walk by the village when he heard her conversation with a scarred Chunin. His decision had been almost instant. He would offer any kind of help to Uzumaki. It was the least he could do for him. The blonde Jinchuriki had helped him begin to turn his life around after all. Gaara kicked off the tree, having found what he was looking for, two blondes standing in front of a white-haired ninja. His expression remained unchanged as he sped through the trees. He would make sure to get there in time to help. Kiba smirked as he kicked off a tree. Shino's scent was near. Akamaru barked as the two grew closer. The Inuzuka was dressed in his normal attire, managing to change after leaving the hospital. It wasn't that he didn't think the situation was urgent, there just was something unappealing about fighting in a hospital robe with his backside visible. He had heard from Hinata that Shino had left on a mission with Naruto. He hadn't thought much of it until he heard that Sasuke had defected and Naruto had put together a team consisting of the first ninja he saw. News traveled fast in Konoha, the details of the mission obviously coming from a ninja, but he decided to go help out. He wouldn't abandon his friends and comrades. Let's kick it up a notch, Akamaru. Kiba grinned as he sped his pace. Akamaru barked and followed after him.
That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.